Hi, let me give you some good news off the top. This is the last time you'll see my face for the rest of, well, pretty much the rest of this video. I may make a brief appearance at the end, but let me aim the camera downward like so you can see the relevant stuff here, and that is the decks of cards. I'm going to begin this video of the atomic deck with an object lesson and show you a trick I learned over 50 years ago. I bought over 50 years ago for $2.50. It's called Ken Krenzel's It Can't Be. You can skip ahead in the video if you know the trick. Okay, first thing you need is a random number from 1 to 52. Let's get a genuinely random number by asking Siri for one. Hey Siri, give me a random number between 1 and 52. And as you can see, Siri has selected 38. Okay. I'm not going to change the order of any of the decks here. You can see, for example, that this deck has been truly shuffled. It's thorough. It's in an absolutely random order. In fact, you can have the spectator shuffle it. You then have the spectator, as you turn over the cards, stop you at any point he'd like. Let's say he stops you right here. He could have selected any of these cards, but no, he stopped you at this one. We're done with this deck. Now, the number that Siri selected was what? It's not up there anymore. Wasn't it 38? That's too bad it's so high, but we can get to it. All right, 37 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, and the 38th card is right here. Now, the idea here is, of course, that the two cards randomly selected at random numbers both match. And that's pretty much the effect, by the way, not only of Ken Krenzel's $2.50 trick done with two ordinary decks, one of which can be genuinely shuffled, the other one of which can be false shuffled, and both of which can be used for any subsequent tricks, as opposed to Christian Grace's $75 Miracle 1, which accomplishes the same effect with iffy conditions. It can't be repeated. This can be repeated. I don't know. For me, the Miracle 1 by Christian Grace is a Rube Goldbergian solution to an actually pretty simple problem. This is by way of object lesson. I think, in a sense, that the atomic deck falls into the same category. It is brilliant. In fact, it's $50, and I've ordered a second one just because some of the components of the atomic deck are pretty fragile, and I may have to replace them, borrowing spare parts from the other deck. Basically, the effect is the deck sits on the table, out of the box, and a spectator names a number, a card and a number, and the card appears at that number. Well, that's worked most of the time nicely, but not all of the time. And for me, dealing the very first card to the table, doing the count, is very, very risky and iffy. My hands, depending on the day, have different consistency. Sometimes they're very dry. Sometimes, if I'm nervous, they get a little sticky. In any case, I cannot reliably even deal out the first card 90% of the time from the atomic deck. So there's that. But that's me. That's my limitation. The other limitation that both my method and what I'm going to show you, that's sort of the free version, and save yourself $50, is okay. In both cases, the limitation is that the magician has to deal the cards, and some of the best any card any number effects, it's the spectator who deals the cards, and I think there's a good argument to say that makes the trick infinitely more powerful when the miracle literally occurs in the spectator's hands. But given that limitation, given that my sleight of hand method and many other sleight of hand methods are free with a little bit of work, and a little bit more reliable. I've already talked about the basic handling of my method in other videos and in this channel. The disadvantage of my method is that it does involve two sleights. Now, the disadvantage of the atomic deck is there are 6.5 hours of accompanying videos, and for you to watch them all in 6.5 hours, in that same 6.5 hours, you can more than master the sleights needed for this. The sleights For my method, well, let me do my method for you first. Okay, let's just have you, it's literally any card at any number, unlike the atomic deck. Right? You can stop me anytime. Let's say you stop me there. It truly is a free choice. You've stopped me at the 7 of diamonds. Okay. And then, as I said, as you do with all of these effects, you have a spectator name a number. Let's keep it low for the sake of the video. Let's say it's 8. So I will deal 7 cards face up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The 8th card goes face down. I put 9 through 52 here. I spread them out to sustain the suspense a little bit. And when I finally reveal the card, it is their selected card, the 7 of diamonds, at the selected number. So the effect is the same. The effect is that I have a deck that doesn't change in order. I get a selected card, in this case, genuinely freely selected card, at a genuinely freely selected number. All right, the sleights I use, I've already detailed in other videos, are the bottom deal and the midnight shift by Steve Drawn. The midnight shift is this. It's a way of passing a card from the middle of the deck to the bottom. For example, 9 of spades here, holding the deck like so. The 9 of spades is now down on the bottom of the deck in position for a bottom deal. So the method from here is pretty obvious. Whatever number they name, on that number, you deal from the bottom face down. For example, if it's numbers 3, it's 1, 2 cards face up, and then the 3rd card from the bottom face down. The rest of the cards go on top, and the trick is done. The cost of this method is the cost of 1 deck of cards and a little bit of practice. And the advantage of that little bit of practice is you've learned some sleights that you can apply to millions of other tricks. In fact, if you do any memorized deck work, I can think of very few sleights that are more useful than a good pass and a bottom deal. So that's it. The atomic deck is fabulous. It's interesting. I'm glad I own it. I will soon own 2. I have another one on the way. It's fun to play with, but I tell you, I wouldn't have the confidence to do this in public, never mind on television. And I don't like the intrusiveness of the telephone, however you implement it. And there's some clever ways. I just am thinking about it. So the telephone could be used in an earlier trick. You get, this gets revealed at the end of the show after you've determined the identity of the card and the number is going to appear at, 4 tricks before you do it. There are all sorts of clever ways of getting around the limitations of the atomic deck. But there are limitations. Magician has to handle the deck, and some of the handling, at least for me, is very iffy. It does involve getting information from the telephone. And it's kind of scary. My method, once you can do the sleights confidently, and even I can, and I'm not the world's most confident performer, is surefire, literally any card at any number, and very cheap.